We have here another nerd science video. This is one that I've been wanting to see for a little bit now, so we're gonna get this one out the way. And then there's a new one. I just seen. I haven't watched it yet, but I just saw he uploaded it. It's gonna be another good joint, so stay tuned for that for tomorrow. So hit that like button, hit that sub button, and hit that notification button so you know when I post. Could Doctor Strange survive Superman? When I think about this, I really truly believe that Superman would just rip Doctor Strange apart. But then again, I think about how he has the time stone, or I mean, he has plenty of magical capabilities that will allow him to, I feel like, kind of fight against Superman, just kind of hold him off, you know, for a good bit. But other than that, I mean, in general, I think Superman's just smashing this guy 1,000%, right? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I think Soup takes this for sure.
Snapped shut behind Stephen Strange, severing the link to the sanctum. He stands in the center of Metropolis, but there is no traffic, no birds, and no sirens. There is only the settling dust of a flattened city. Above him, the clouds part. It isn't a bird. It isn't a plane. It is a god who stopped caring about collateral damage. A single sonic boom shatters the remaining windows as the Man of Steel dives from the stratosphere. Strange has less than a microsecond to realize that in this universe, the symbol on the chest doesn't stand for hope. It stands for the end. Can a man who rewrites reality survive a fist that shatters it? Let's look at the first millisecond of this fight. Superman initiates a bull rush from 30,000 feet. In a standard
Superman is just instantly going for it like that. Doctor Strange would have to be super quick with his little spell that he does, you know, when he's moving his hands and shit. He would have to be really quick with that. I mean, Superman is just gonna instant rush him and just rip his body apart. Like
a showdown. The villain monologues, giving the hero time to prepare. Here, the air pressure drops instantly. Strange attempts to raise the crimson bands of Sidorak, but we have a serious math problem. It's called the reaction gap. The average human visual cortex takes about 13 milliseconds to process an image. This is fast for biology, but it's galactic for physics. If this Superman is moving at a conservative Mach 100, about 76,000 miles per hour,
oh my God,
he crosses the distance between the clouds and Strange's face in roughly 0.2 seconds. By the time the photons of light bouncing off Superman's cape actually hit Strange's retinas, the punch has already connected. At that speed, the air itself turns into plasma. Strange isn't just getting punched, he is getting hit by a wall of superheated atmosphere that precedes the...
And mind you, this is a Superman that doesn't care about collateral damage anymore. He's just all in. He's all in, all out destruction. This is like Superman Unleashed.
Fist. So what happens when that fist lands?
Not holding back or anything.
The kinetic energy. If we assume a Kryptonian arm weighs roughly the same as a heavy human arm, but is moving at hypersonic speeds, the energy transfer isn't just a punch, it's a localized extinction event. We are talking about a force equivalent to a tactical nuclear weapon, concentrated entirely on the surface area of a human skull. Logically, Strange is dead. His neurons cannot cast the spell fast enough to save him. He is pink mist before his brain even registers the threat. This brings us to a first survival rating, Tier F.
Critical failure.
Without specific preparation,
I knew it too.
In 0.02 seconds. Most people assume wizards beat tanks because magic breaks rules. But magic requires somatic components, hand waves, and spoken words. If you cannot move your hand faster than a bullet, you cannot cast the spell. A wizard is usually just a statue made of meat. But Strange isn't just a biologist. He is the sorcerer supreme. And this is where magic acts as a hard counter to physics. He survives because he's paranoid. Think of Strange's defensive artifacts, the Cloak of Levitation and his passive wards. In mystic arts, these are auto shields. Spells woven into his clothing that trigger based on intent and proximity, bypassing the need for conscious thought. As Superman breaks the sound barrier, the passive wards flare. The crimson bands don't need a hand gesture. They snap into existence the moment the air pressure spikes. The impact is catastrophic. The kinetic energy doesn't vaporize Strange, but it has to go somewhere. It washes over the shield, shattering the concrete beneath him, turning the street into a crater instantly. The shockwave flings Strange backward through 3 skyscrapers, his magical barriers flicking under the strain. He is alive, but his ribs are cracked from the G-force of the acceleration alone.
His ribs are
the magic saved him from the nuke, but it couldn't completely negate the momentum.
They're more than
passive
cracked.
Shields bought him exactly
Turned
1
to
second
dust.
of time. Now, he has to think. The auto shields are drained, He knows he cannot win a boxing match against a supernova. If he stays in the physical realm, he dies. He needs to change the battlefield immediately.
He's a symbol of infinite hope. Even if he was able to do something to Superman, it's just he's not gonna go down that easy. He's relentless. Like, he's another relentless, OP, unkillable demon. Like
Wipes the grit from his teeth. He knows he cannot tank another hit. The auto shields are recharging and his ribs are already grinding together. He needs a battlefield where muscle mass and force are irrelevant. He drops into a meditative stance amidst the falling debris. As the Man of Steel winds up for the finishing blow, Strange's astral form rips free from his physical shell. The world turns gray and silent. Time effectively freezes. Strange isn't aiming for the body anymore. He is diving straight into the Kryptonian's mind. This brings us to a fascinating question in superhero physiology. Does invulnerability extend the psyche? We know Superman's skin can withstand the pressure of the ocean floor. His bones are denser than diamond, but his nervous system, it still relies on electrical signals. It is still fundamentally
I feel like Superman is very immune to mental attacks too at the same time. And you guys can let me know down in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but he might explain in a second. But I think he's immune to that type of stuff.
Biological machine. Strange is banking on the idea that while you cannot break the hardware, you can hack the software. Think of Superman like a military-grade server room inside a bunker made of solid diamond. You cannot kick down the door, but if you can access the network, you don't need to touch the walls. You bypass the physical armor entirely. This is the astral offensive. Strange is the hacker, and he just found the open port. Strange manifests inside the psychic landscape of Kal-El, expecting to find a typical human mind. Instead, he steps into a hurricane. This is where the plan hits a snag. We often forget that Kryptonian speed is not just about running fast, it's about processing speed. Superman reads entire libraries in seconds. His neurons fire at velocities that make human thought look like a sloth moving through molasses. In the deep lore, this isn't just speed. It is a specific Kryptonian martial art called Torquasm Vo. It acts as a psychic firewall, a warrior trance that turns the mind into an impregnable fortress against foreign consciousness. Strange tries to shut down the motor functions, but he isn't fighting biology. He's fighting a weaponized mental defense system. Imagine trying to manually rewrite the code of a supercomputer while the CPU is overclocking at 1 billion cycles per second. Every time Strange tries to latch onto a thought to anchor a spell, the thought is already gone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
1,000 new ones. The sheer volume of sensory data Superman processes, hearing every heartbeat in the city, seeing the entire electromagnetic spectrum, creates a psychic pressure cooker. Strange is overwhelmed. The mental feedback loop screams. He isn't fighting a man. He's fighting a biological storm. The psychic backlash slams him, a violent rejection like touching a high voltage line. He snaps back into his physical body with a gasp, eyes flying open just as Superman's fist stops an inch from his nose. The mental attack didn't defeat the Kryptonian, but it did something important. It confused him. For a split second, the God of Steel hesitated. He blinked. That hesitation saved Strange's life. This moves us to Tier C. Stabilized. Strange hasn't won, but he has proven he can hurt the unhurtable. He has bridged the physical gap by attacking the non-physical. But the trick won't work twice. Now that the enemy knows the sorcerer can enter his...
Yeah, but keep in mind, too, he got an F on the first encounter when Superman is just bull rushing towards you and just hits you. Like, he's done. He'll be not clean after that. Like, it's over after that. But this is just a what if he could actually get some stuff off. I feel like that's what this is. That's what he's talking about. Like, what if he can get the time to be able to get into his mind and try to rewrite stuff or whatever, but that it's over with, like, after the first encounter.
Mind. The mental shields will be up. Strange needs to stop thinking about biology and start thinking about geometry and physics. Strange slams his palms together. The air creates a geometric fracture pattern. We are entering the mirror dimension. This is his home turf. The skyscrapers of Metropolis don't just collapse, they fold inward like complex origami. The horizon bends upward at a 90-degree angle, sealing them inside a kaleidoscope of glass and steel. Why does he do this? It isn't just for cinematic flair. It's a specific, calculated counter to a speedster. Strange actively curves the local space-time. Consider drawing a straight line on a sheet of paper. Now, roll the paper into a cylinder. The line is still straight relative to the paper, but in three-dimensional space, it's a circle. Strange is essentially putting Superman inside a Klein bottle. The Man of Steel launches forward at Mach 500, expecting to impact the Wizard, but space itself loops him back to his starting point. He is running on a cosmic treadmill. For the first time in this fight, his speed is irrelevant because the concept of forward no longer exists. This is where Strange usually secures the victory. He controls the gravity, the floor, the sky. He can drop a train on you, or simply leave you trapped in a recursive loop until the end of time. But we are analyzing an evil Superman, and this version of the character brings a terrifying variable to the table: infinite energy output.
Right.
Superman stops flying, shifting crystalline city. He realizes that movement is futile against a spatial manipulator, so he decides to break the cage. His eyes glow with an intensity that bleaches the color from the surrounding buildings. We need to talk about heat vision. In most media, it's depicted as high-intensity laser eyes, but at the upper limits of DC lore, Superman's eyes emit energy that defies standard thermodynamics. To burn through a dimensional barrier, to literally shear a hole in the fabric of space-time, you need temperatures approaching the Planck heat. That is 1.4 times 10 to the 32nd Kelvin. It's the temperature of the universe at the exact fraction of a second after the Big Bang. The air inside the mirror dimension ignites. It effectively turns the vacuum of space into a boiling liquid. The invisible walls of the reality trap begin to warp. Strange watches as the geometry itself starts to melt. It's a terrifying concept. The heat is so intense, it isn't just exciting atoms. It is destabilizing the quantum tether Strange uses to anchor the dimension. With a sound like a breaking glacier, the dimension shatters, dissolving into orange sparks before they hit the ground. Strange is thrown back into the real world, tumbling onto the asphalt of the real metropolis. This brings us to Tier B, gaining ground. Strange didn't lose this round, but he didn't win it either. He proved that reality warping can neutralize physical stats, leveling the playing field. For a few moments, the god was a rat in a maze. But he also learned a hard lesson.
For a few seconds.
Sufficient brute force can break any container. If you punch reality hard enough, reality breaks. Strange scrambles to his feet. His bag of tricks is running empty. He has one option left. He needs to stop fighting the Kryptonian biology and start fighting the source of its power. He reaches for the Eye of Agamotto. It's time for the final calculation. The Time Stone is his ace in the hole.
Yeah,
he must play it now.
What is he gonna do? Just infinite loop? Is that it? Like infinite loop until he finally gives up or pretends to give up, and then he's gonna crush freaking Doctor Strange's skull.
Strange rises into the upper atmosphere, his cloak billowing in the thinning air. He isn't trying to punch harder anymore. He is changing the rules of the game completely. The green glow of the Time Stone illuminates the debris clouds, signaling the end of the brawl and the beginning of the surgery. This is the moment we analyze the most famous weakness in comic book history: magic. Why is a biological god vulnerable to a wizard? Commonly, people think magic acts like a poison, similar to kryptonite. This isn't correct. The weakness is actually a lack of specific defense. Superman's invulnerability comes from a bioelectric aura generated by his solar-charged cells. This aura repels kinetic force and energy, but it has no setting for mystic energy. Superman has no innate molecular resistance to magic. When Strange casts a spell, he bypasses the bioelectric aura entirely because magic operates on a frequency that Kryptonian biology doesn't recognize as a threat. It's like wearing a bulletproof vest to stop a ghost. The vest works perfectly against bullets, but the ghost walks right through it. Superman dives, eyes burning red, moving fast enough to ignite the nitrogen in the air. Strange opens the Eye of Agamotto. The world turns green. He traps the Kryptonian in a temporal loop. A single second repeating infinitely. Think of this like a corrupted save file in a video game. Superman is moving at light speed, but he is running on a track that is only 1 meter long, resetting every time he crosses the threshold. Because of his super senses, he can actually perceive the stutter. He knows he's trapped between ticks of the clock, but he cannot outrun a loop that has no end. While the Man of Steel fights the timeline itself, Strange begins the extraction. He doesn't need to cut skin. He targets the solar radiation stored within the Kryptonian cells. Using a specific transmutation spell, Strange shifts the light spectrum frequency inside his opponent's body. He isn't just blocking the sun, he's corrupting the fuel source. He turns the yellow solar energy fueling Superman's mitochondria into red solar radiation. It's the biological equivalent of replacing the jet fuel in a plane with sand while the plane is in mid-flight. The effect is immediate and catastrophic. Without the yellow sun energy to sustain the bioelectric aura, the invulnerability vanishes. The flight fails. The heat vision flickers and dies. The loop breaks, and Superman falls. He doesn't fall as a god, he falls as a man. He gasps for air in the stratosphere. His skin now is soft and breakable as yours or mine. Strange lowers him gently to the ruined street, binding him not with force, but with simple ropes that he can no longer break. This brings us to our final rating, Tier S, Absolute Victory. The physical gap between them was infinite, but the preparation gap was wider. In a random encounter, the speedster wins before the wizard can blink, but give the Sorcerer Supreme a moment to open his eye, and the laws of physics bow down.
Yeah, there is no...
Strange floats alone in the silence of space. The threat
giving him a
neutralized,
second, though, if it's evil Superman.
This battle proves one fundamental truth about the hierarchy of power. Physical force compels you to obey the laws of the universe, but magic allows you to rewrite them. If you want to see if the Sorcerer Supreme can survive a speedster who can outrun time itself, hit subscribe and comment flash
Doctor
below.
Strange he's good, but he's not that good when it comes to fighting those types of guys like Superman, the Flash, or anything like that. Like, that's over before it even starts. You know what I mean? What did you guys think of it? I kind of knew that, though. I knew it. He does, in a way, have a chance, but it's very slim, very slim. Like, he would need a distraction, and then it's go time. But like, instantly face to face, if Superman just instantly, bull rushes him, then it's over. It's over.